You won't be laughing now. I said shut it! Ah! Stay with me, they won't harm you.
I'm with you.
This valley holds our strength.
Then we stand.
We can't stop now.
The girls are scared.
What secret, Mama?
Stay close.
The saloon doors swung open with a creak that cut through the midday heat, and every eye in Dusty Creek turned. Eliza Thorne stepped inside wearing the same white lace dress she'd worn to church last Sunday, only now it was buttoned over a plain cotton chemise and her hair was pinned back like she meant business. Behind her trailed Jack Harlan, hat in hand, his 3 daughters clinging to his legs like burrs. Lily, 10 years old and already too serious, held Rose's hand tight. Little Daisy sucked her thumb and stared at the spittoons. Sheriff Boone leaned on the bar and let out a slow whistle. Well, I'll be damned. She actually did it. Mayor Hargrove choked on his whiskey. Married him? The broke widower? With those 3 mouths to feed? A ripple of laughter rolled through the room, sharp as broken glass. Men slapped tables. Women hid smirks behind fans. Eliza lifted her chin and looked straight ahead, but her fingers trembled where they gripped Jack's sleeve. Jack didn't flinch. He just stood there in his patched vest and scuffed boots, eyes steady under the brim of his hat. Preachers waiting at the church, he said quietly. Anybody got something to say it now. Nobody did. Not out loud. But the whispers followed them down Main Street like a dust devil. Fool girl. Could have had Hargrove's son. Or the banker. Or that railroad man from Denver. Harlan's got nothing. Ranch is mostly rock and rattlesnake. Wife died of fever 2 winters back. Left him drowning in debt and daughters. She's throwing her life away for a man who can't even buy flour on credit. Eliza heard every word. She kept walking. The ceremony was short. No flowers, no music, just the preacher's voice echoing off the bare pine walls and the sound of Daisy hiccuping. When Jack slipped the plain gold band, his dead wife's, onto Eliza's finger, the ring was warm from his pocket and too big for her hand. She curled her fingers to keep it from slipping off. Afterward they rode out in Jack's buckboard, the girls squeezed between them. The town watched from porches and windows until the dust swallowed them whole. The Harlan place sat at the end of a 2-rut trail that wound through sagebrush and alkali flats. The house was adobe, cracked and low, with a tin roof that rattled in the wind. A single windmill creaked beside a half-dry tank. Chickens scattered as the wagon rolled up. Eliza climbed down without waiting for help. She looked at the sagging porch, the broken corral rail, the wash hanging limp on the line. Then she looked at Jack. "This is home?" she asked. "This is it," he said. She nodded once. "Then let's get to work." That first night she cooked beans and cornbread on a stove that smoked like a chimney fire. The girls watched her like she might vanish. Lily whispered to Rose, "She won't stay." Nobody stays. But Eliza stayed. Days turned to weeks. She scrubbed floors until her knuckles bled. She mended clothes she could barely thread a needle through. She taught Daisy how to braid hair and Rose how to read from an old Bible. Lily fought her at first, stubborn, silent, angry, but one morning Eliza found the girl crying behind the barn because she'd torn her only good dress. Eliza didn't scold. She just sat down in the dirt, pulled out her sewing kit, and stitched it up while Lily watched. "Why'd you marry him?" Lily asked finally. Eliza thought a moment. "Because he looked at me like I was worth something. Not like a prize heifer." Lily sniffed. "He ain't rich." "No," Eliza said. "But he's kind. And kind goes further than gold sometimes." Jack was gone most days, riding out before dawn with a pack mule and coming back after dark. He never said where. He just brought back supplies, flour, coffee, salt, once a bolt of calico nobody in town had seen. When Eliza asked, he only shrugged. "Got a place I go," he said. "Keeps us fed." She didn't press. But she noticed things. The way he always carried a rifle now, even to the barn. The way he checked the horizon before he left. The way his eyes darkened when Hargrove's men rode past the fence line, watching. One night a storm rolled in off the mountains, thunder like cannon fire. Lightning cracked the sky open. The girls huddled under quilts. Jack sat by the window, rifle across his knees. Eliza came up behind him. "You're expecting trouble." He didn't turn. "Hargrove wants this place. Thinks the water rights are worth something." "They aren't," she said. "The spring barely fills the tank." He was quiet a long time. "They don't know that." She touched his shoulder. "What aren't you telling me, Jack?" He looked at her then, really looked, and something in his face made her stomach drop. "Go to bed, Eliza," he said. "I'll keep watch." She didn't sleep. Weeks later, Hargrove came himself. Rode up in a shiny surrey with 2 hired guns flanking him. He tipped his hat like a gentleman, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. "Congratulations, Mrs. Harlan," he said. "Didn't think you'd last a month." Eliza stood on the porch, apron dusted with flour. "State your business, Mr. Hargrove." He glanced at the dry fields, the sagging barn. "Selling yet?" "No." "Shame. I could make it worth your while. Cash money. Enough to send those girls to school back east." Jack stepped out then, rifle loose in his hands. The girls peered from the doorway. Hargrove chuckled. "Still playing poor, Harlan? Folks are talking. Say you got a secret stash somewhere. Gold, maybe. Silver. Something that lets you buy calico nobody else has." Jack's voice was flat. "Folks talk a lot." Hargrove leaned forward in the saddle. "I don't believe in secrets. Not when they sit on land that could be mine. You got 30 days. Sell, or I'll take it legal. Taxes are overdue." He rode off laughing. That night Jack packed his saddlebags. Eliza watched him from the doorway. "You're going to the valley," she said. He froze. "I heard you talk in your sleep," she said. "You say the name. Hidden Valley. You go there, don't you?" He looked at her a long time. "If I don't come back in 3 days, take the girls and ride for Santa Fe. Don't wait. Jack." He kissed her then, hard and quick, like a man who might not get another chance. Then he swung into the saddle and rode into the dark. 3 days came. 3 days went. On the 4th morning Eliza woke to hoofbeats. She grabbed the shotgun and stepped onto the porch. Hargrove's men, 4 of them, sat their horses in the yard. One held a rope. Another carried Jack's hat. Eliza's heart slammed against her ribs. "Where is he?" she asked. The lead man grinned. "Your husband? Took a bad fall. Canyon Trail. Shame. We tried to help." "Liar," Lily screamed from the doorway. The man laughed. "Now, little lady, we're here for the deed. Hargrove says it's time to settle up." Eliza cocked the shotgun. "Get off my land." They didn't move. Then a new sound, low, rolling thunder that wasn't thunder. Dust rose on the horizon. Riders. A dozen at least. Coming fast. The men turned. One swore. Sheriff Boone led them, face grim. Behind him rode half the town, men who'd laughed at the wedding, women who'd whispered. They carried rifles, shotguns, pitchforks. Boone reined up. "Step down, boys. This ends now." Hargrove's men hesitated. The leader spat. "You can't prove nothing." Boone looked at Eliza. "We found Jack. He's hurt bad, but alive. Said to tell you the valley's safe. Said to tell you it's time." Eliza's knees nearly buckled. "What valley?" Boone pointed south, toward the jagged purple mountains nobody ever crossed. "The one he kept hidden all these years." The town had followed because word spread fast. Jack had been found at the bottom of a dry wash, leg broken, bleeding, but conscious enough to talk. He'd told Boone everything. 20 years ago, before he married his first wife, Jack Harlan had prospected the high country. Found a narrow slot canyon nobody else had seen. Squeezed through. Came out into a valley no map knew green, watered by a spring that never dried, ringed by cliffs that hid it from the world. And in the creek bed, flecks of gold. Not nuggets. Not flakes. Dust so thick it glittered in the sun. Enough to make a man rich 10 times over. He'd staked no claim. Told no one. Took only what he needed to keep body and soul together. When his wife died, he kept going back, not for greed, but to keep his daughters fed. He never spent big. Never showed it. Because men like Hargrove would kill for less. But Hargrove's men had followed him this time. Ambushed him on the trail out. Left him for dead. They hadn't counted on Jack Harlan crawling 3 miles with a broken leg to reach help. Now the town stood in Jack's yard, staring at Eliza like she'd grown wings. She didn't cry. She just looked at Boone. Take me to him. They rode hard. Jack lay in a cot in the back of Boone's jail, leg splinted, face gray with pain. When Eliza walked in, he tried to sit up. Don't, she said, pushing him down gently. You idiot. You could have told me. Couldn't risk it, he rasped. Not with the girls. Not with you. She took his hand. You kept a whole valley secret for 20 years? Longer than that, he said. But I kept it for them. For you, now. She leaned down and kissed him, slow and sure. Then let's go get it. It took 2 weeks for Jack's leg to bear weight. Another week to organize. The town changed its tune fast. Men who'd laughed now offered mules, picks, dynamite. Women brought food, blankets, medicine. Hargrove disappeared the night Jack was found rode out and never came back. Some said he went to Mexico. Some said he went to hell. Nobody looked too hard. When the day came, they rode out as a town. Jack in the lead wagon, leg propped up. Eliza beside him. The girls in back, eyes wide. Behind them, 30 riders, pack animals, tools, supplies. The slot canyon was narrow, barely wide enough for a horse. They went single file. Jack directed from the wagon bed. Left at the split rock. Mind the drop. When they squeezed through the last choke, the valley opened like a dream. Green grass to the knees. A creek ran clear and cold. Cottonwoods taller than any in Dusty Creek. Cattle wild stock Jack had turned loose years ago, grazed fat and lazy. And in the creek bed, the gold dust shimmered under the sun like spilled honey. Silence fell over the riders. Then someone let out a low whistle. Another laughed, disbelieving. A woman started to cry. Jack looked at Eliza. Still think I'm broke? She shook her head. I never did. They built a new house that summer, timber hauled from the high ridges, stone from the cliffs. The girls had their own rooms. Eliza planted a garden that bloomed like Eden. Jack filed the claim legal this time, but he didn't sell. He worked it slow, honest, sharing with the town that had finally stood up. Years later, folks still talked about the day Eliza Thorne married the broke cowboy widower with 3 daughters. They laughed then. They didn't laugh anymore. Not when the valley produced enough gold to build a school, a hospital, a railroad spur. Not when the girls grew up educated and strong, married men who treated them right. Not when Jack and Eliza sat on their porch in their old age, watching the sunset paint the cliffs red, hands still clasped. They didn't laugh at all. Because sometimes the poorest man in town is the one who knows where the real treasure is. And sometimes the woman who marries him is the richest of them all.